Hey guys, a quick video here as I'm going through and trying to figure out different recommendations for cheap gaming. Well, I had this DSi that I picked up in a lot of just messed up or broken systems. There's something wrong with each one of them, and the plan was I'll go through and see maybe what's an easy fix that people can look out for, and then maybe take advantage of a good deal for an as-is system, and it'd make for a good first repair or beginner level thing, and you can come out on top with a cheap system, right? Well, I got this DSi, and the top screen is inverted. The colors are off, which is unfortunate because it's not the potentiometer on the back. It's just the top screen. And I started to think, I was like, you know what, I'll just shelve this for now and maybe we'll use it later on. But it got me thinking a bit about the DSi itself, because these by themselves, just working in good shape, we'll say, are not expensive. In fact, while most people focus on the 3DS or the DS Lite, the DSi sits in there nicely where you can find one for, with a charger, $70, maybe less sometimes if you luck out with it. And to me, that falls in a pretty good spot of, hey, this is a system that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, has an incredible library, and games that have been delisted that you can reload onto the system because, yes, you can load custom firmware on this thing, and that's what I did here. So while I do have a kind of a wonky looking top screen, I'll still be able to kind of show you around what a device like this can do and sort of what it looks like. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. If you have any recommendations though around the DSi, maybe you're somebody who does have like a hacked or modified DSi, or you just have some recommendations for the library of games itself, let us know down in the comments. So first thing, I do have a 64 gigabyte SD card in here. DS games are pretty small, so you don't need the biggest SD card ever. I think a 64 gig is pretty solid. Some people are going with a 32 gig and don't really have many issues there. I mean, we're talking most DS games are like 100 megabytes or less. Most of them, because they're trimmed ROMs, will sit like 32 megabytes or less. And there are ways, of course, that you can dump your games, which I've been doing that on this DSi to see how that process was. And each time I would dump a DS cartridge, it took a minute, maybe. It didn't take long at all, and it would come out on the other end as like a 20 or 30 megabyte file. So you don't need a ton of space necessarily to store a large number of DS, DSi, and Game Boy Advance games. So I'm going to power this on, and you'll kind of see how it starts up here. And you can we'll also see if you can kind of spot the top screen and how that is looking. So we have the Twilight menu plus that'll automatically start up as I did load the custom firmware and modify the NAND. All of this, by the way, is pretty easy to do. So let me go back here. This is like the main menu. I changed it to like a 3DS theme. I don't know. It looks kind of cool, I guess. And I also made the power button purple. This is all pretty easy stuff in the settings. I did also want to point something else out because I know these use that kind of annoying proprietary Nintendo plug. You can get these now. So I've been seeing these pop up for the Vita. Was a big one for the Vita 1000, because that is a really annoying plug to deal with. Since I know many people do not want to open up or desolder their own charge port on their system and modify the case to put a USB-C plug in there, these have been popping up and getting pretty good reviews, to where this is just a standard male plug for the DSi or the 3DS, and then it goes right to USB-C. We'll keep it in the Nintendo family. I have a, what is this, the Switch charger here. So let's plug that in. There you go. No issues there. We have the battery. So charge is fine. These cables, I mean, I haven't had a lot of time with it, as you can see, but they seem to be pretty good reviews, and it is at least a clever way to kind of deal with the proprietary nature of these systems with the specific plugs without having to open up and just modify the whole thing when it comes to the charge port. I do have plenty of battery though, and this is kind of at a weird angle, so I'll unplug that for now. You can definitely see the inverted colors here. That's supposed to be a blue. It's kind of like this weird reddish purple, almost like a purple, I guess. Anyway, this is the main menu though. This is the God Mode 9i. I've been using that to, again, dump different games to see that process. And there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. But the Twilight menu that I'm in now does allow you to load up, as you can see, different ROMs. So I have DSi, Game Boy Advance, and DS. Yes, the DSi can play Game Boy Advance games. I know the DS Lite gets a lot of looks because it has the Game Boy Advance cartridge, and rightfully so. It is nice to have a Game Boy Advance slot and then also a DS slot. It really is. But you can just load different Game Boy Advance ROMs right on the DSi, and it starts up pretty well. So sometimes I'll put some random games on here, like just Max Payne or something about the old days of the handheld game that was converted over from the console version is so interesting to me. Here's Mega Man and Bass though, so it'll start up like this, and we have GBA Runner that's going to load up. And there we go. We are immediately into the Game Boy Advanced game. It'll just use the top screen here, and it actually plays pretty well. So we'll just jump in. I'll go ahead and pick Bass, of course. Why not? How often do you get a chance to play as him in these different Mega Man games? You gotta pick him for the Mega Man Bass. Yeah, you can see that blue tint almost all the way around it. But again, it plays well. As you can see, sound is good. Speed, everything is solid there. So yes, you can play Game Boy Advance games and also some others as well. I've seen people mention like Super Nintendo games and stuff. Whenever I think about the DSi or like DS, I usually think about the handheld versions, like the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, but definitely DS because it is very unique, this setup, to where many of these companies, I'm sure they think about porting their games over to newer systems, but the process of having to go, okay, we have two screens, now we got to go down to one screen. What does that look like? And you can get maybe like Ghost Trick and that works, or World Ends With You, but those are few and far between because there are just a lot of really weird DS games out there. So you can think of like a Call of Duty Black Ops, right? I like these kind of iterations because I really look at this and go, what is this going to be? Like, what is the experience of Call of Duty Black Ops on a DS? Like the DS was cool and interesting because of its two screen setup. As I mentioned, it was not as powerful as something like a PSP, where that was getting all the different console ports, and it was very close. It wasn't exact, but it was close. Again, unlike the DS, where this felt like they were trying to fit those PS2 games to the Game Boy Advance, something like that. This did have multiplayer though, which is pretty funny. Like it used Wi-Fi, the whole thing, so you could play co-op or multiplayer there. We'll just go right into single player. Oh, can we just do quick play? Let's see, the recovery job. Yeah, I just want to see what the controls are like in this. I know I've seen some retrospectives on, I think it was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare on the DS, and it looks crazy. So let's see what it has like voice acting and everything. I don't know if I can skip it. Look at this. Oh, you can definitely see the banding. Look at that, man. Yeah, I'd have to change this screen out. That is so unfortunate because changing the screen is just a pain. This system hadn't been opened or anything for what I've seen. So that is unfortunate. Maybe a drop or something. So you use the D-pad, back, forward, strafe, A and B turns you. Unfortunately, that was just kind of what you had to do back then because less banding there because you didn't have analog sticks at all for the DS, but even on the PSP you would have to do this. I remember Ghost Recon was very similar, and I assume one of these. Oh wait, so R is fire. So there you go. I don't know what L does or anything, and then you have your touchpad here, so you can change. Yep. I want to see what an explosion looks like. What do we get out of this? And maybe. Oh. You know what? That looked better than I thought it would, just with like ground debris coming up and stuff. I sort of figured that would have been like this really terrible looking like 2D explosion. So you can store all of your DS games on here, of course, dumping them from your massive library of games up on your shelf, right, that we all have. But the thing with this, though, I will say, Nintendo doesn't benefit from people buying DS games on eBay. They treat it as legacy at this point. They took down all the DSiWare games or whatever now, and as you can see, yeah, you can find those online. They're all over the place. So it's unfortunate that these games, the only way they're preserved at this point is through the archive and people yeah, legitimately just putting them up for you to download, but that's just kind of the way it is right now. So you have like Need for Speed Nitro X is ridiculous. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Cruisin' USA or Cruisin' Blast, Rayman, Shantae, and then Dragon Quest Wars. Let's fire up Rayman real quick. But this is the thing that I think really makes it worth getting the DSi, is to play the different DSiWare games that otherwise you're just kind of lost to time. So what you'll see is this will just spend a moment just kind of loading things up. It'll then drop you into the game here. And I mean, even I didn't have a chance to play most of these DSiWare games back in the day. So it was kind of cool just to see these pop back up, in the sense that if you modify your DSi, you can start playing them. Of course, with a DS Lite, you can just buy an R4 card and you can just start playing. There we go. It's Rayman. Look at that. You can definitely just get if you want for a DS Lite, an R4 card and play that way. But the thing with the DSi is the ability to play these, as well as, of course, just DS games without needing an R4 card. It all just functions completely off of the SD card. And what was really cool is modifying this system is super easy. I mean, like I said, I was going to throw this in the drawer and come back to it someday, but I decided to look into it, and it maybe took 15 minutes to go from stock to like fully decked out with custom firmware, and then it was just moving stuff over to the SD card. The way it works is they use an exploit with the camera app, and that just immediately launches you into dumping your NAND and then flashing the firmware. I mean, it was very, very quick and straightforward, and there are websites out there that'll walk you step by step through it. So it really is almost foolproof. And with that in mind, I mean, that was pretty much it. And then you have a full system ready to go with different backups, Game Boy Advance games, and DSiWare. So definitely recommend a DSi if you have not picked one up. If you already have one in a drawer, worth breaking back out and trying out, as it's, I mean, the library is massive. There's a ton of stuff you can play, or maybe explore even for the first time with things like DSiWare, or just the DS library having some crazy games. So just wanted to point all that out to you guys before I legitimately put this one on the shelf until I decide to go back and change out the screen here, especially since, again, with me looking towards some cheaper options for gaming right now especially, it's hard to beat a DSi, considering the 3DS to get one now gets quite expensive. Hundreds of dollars versus like, I don't know, 60 or 70 bucks here. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Just a quick video to kind of show off what you can do with the DSi. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.